Prime Minister stood at this dispatch box and told the House he had full confidence in Peter Mandelson, a man whose relationship with convicted paedophile Jeffrey Epstein was public knowledge. The Prime Minister knew and backed him anyway. Now he claims he had no idea that this twice-fired government minister had failed MI6 vetting, despite journalists putting that directly to Downing Street that very same month. Mr. Speaker, we all know that the Prime Minister appointed Mandelson because he owes his job to him. He appointed him, he defended him, and now he claims to know nothing. He is gaslighting the nation. So let's call this out for what it is. The Prime Minister is a barefaced liar, and if he hadn't decency left...
No, order. Sit and leave. Leave now. I'll name you otherwise. I'd go now if I were you. Leave. I'm not. Leave. I've no name. I've given the option to leave. I'd leave if I were you very quickly. Move before I read it and give me one option. Right, give me that. You have no duties. It's my duty to carry out and control this House. One chance. Do you want to leave now or not? Right. I name Zara Sultana. Minister, I beg to move that the said member, be suspended from the House.
Mr. Speaker, call Jane Kitchen.
Jane Kitchener.
I beg to move that Zara Sultana be suspended from the service of the House.
The question is that Zara Sultana be named and leave this House. All those in favour? Aye. Leave. I'm sorry you've done this. I really am. Right. Come on, Rebecca Paul.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. 7 months ago.
And as they would say, moving right along. Anyway, folks, I am going to begin this video with an apology. Yes, man, may I have to apologize to Miss Angela and all of the MPs them in what I was calling our house. Well, me take back my chat. The House of Parliament and the Senate is not our house, a FIDEM house. Yes, man. This is the Senate and House of Representatives' powers and privileges. And it says regulation of attendance to the House. 13, right to enter House. It says, no stranger shall be entitled as of right to enter or remain within the precincts of either house. No stranger. Well, what is a stranger? Well, a definition of stranger in the same act says stranger means any person other than a member or an officer of either house. Who are the officers? That would be the Speaker and the President. That's my understanding. So everybody else who is not a member, whether it be an MP or a senator, the President or the Speaker of the House, I don't know if they call the other staffers, but them too would be entitled to be within the precincts of the House. And that will be the entire Parliament building. So we are the strangers. So me take back my chat, Miss Angela, a few house. But I don't mind telling you guys, I know that stranger is a term that the legal people use, but for me, I don't like it. And I can see why it is that when Mr. Trump called them, some low IQ members of Parliament, perhaps even senators, such as they may be in the House, pardon me, such as may be in their house, may be inclined to think, reading this thing that are for them house and we are the strangers, obliged to work and provide the money to maintain the house and to maintain them. Yes, they might be inclined to think that, a for them house and we can chat to them. But of course, reality will always set in. That the ones with the real power are we. For sheer numbers, 2.8 million. Very intimidating, And so public opinion will bring them back down to earth, which I suspect is what happened with Sister Angela. Angela, she did very pompous and carry on. Yeah, man, if you're how she knows that she was in her house. right? But when she come out the door now and she hear how we are liquor, how she go along in the house where we are pay for, let me put it that way then. She decided to put out one little fenke apology with an excuse. I don't know why when people give an apology, they might give excuse. We don't want an excuse. An apology is just an apology. You did something and you apologize and there was no excuse and you done this so, and then we can say, all right, like we think about it a little bit. And then we go talk about you're sorry with what amounts to what I would call a lie, talking about you were not allowed to speak. That was not your intention. When you got up, you weren't angry. You weren't frustrated. You were rocking from side to side and smiling. It was good fun. You wanted to amuse your colleagues. And then, having made that mistake, you should have gracefully walked out of the house. Mark, the speaker was a little rough, right? The process has to be followed for you to leave. And just as what you saw happening in the British Parliament is the very same thing that happened there, When the member called the Prime Minister a barefaced liar, the Speaker first jumped to his feet and ordered her to leave. He never followed the process. And then he said he'd given her an opportunity to leave before he named her. She didn't leave, so he followed the process and named her and moved a motion which was voted on. Without saying the ayes have it, he ordered her to leave. And she did. Right? You decide, say you not leave because the process wasn't followed. And by doing so, you got yourself named. And now you could be in more problems. Now, having said all of that, I am going to bring what you call an apology at some later date, but not now. But let us now turn to Miss Nikisha Burchell. What Trump would I call him? Low IQ? I don't know if she's a low IQ, miss. But it seems to me that she can't be too far from that. They have a handbook, that is given to the MPs. And I don't know if them don't read it. But this piece of video I am going to show you, and I want you to tell me what your opinion is and what you think should be done about it, if anything, is another display, in my view, of contempt of our parliament for them house, right? Now, in the handbook, there is mention of the mace and the marshal and everything that they need to know. I could not find any mention of the mace or marshal in the standing order nor any other law, but it's in the handbook. The mace is a parliamentary mace. That's what it is called, the mace of parliament. And it's a symbol of the Crown's authority because of the arrangements that we have, which we are planning to change at some point. But until such time, it is there. We follow the rules or we change them. The Mace of Parliament is not unlike the flag of Jamaica, the national anthem of Jamaica. There are protocols that we are supposed to follow as citizens in order to show our respect to our national symbols. The mace is a national symbol. So even though some persons may be of the opinion at that time, we dash away the mace now, as we hear Karen Cross said last night. And by the way, you need to go listen to Karen's video last night. Actually, it was a live. You need to listen to her live. Even though you may be of that opinion and you're entitled to your opinion. I mean, you may not put it as elegantly as you probably should, but the fact of the matter is it is there. And it is for the parliamentarians to make the changes so that we don't have the mace or we have some other kind of symbol. Let us use a symbol that is in keeping with our own culture, if we choose to use a symbol. But the mace is supposed to be used as an opening and closing of a session, opening and closing of a meeting of the House, right? And that is its purpose. Now, Angela did what she did, and she having suffered a consequence. Nikisha Burchell went and made a video. In my view, compounded the matter. And I would like to find out if she had sought and received the permission of the president of the People's National Party. And as a member of parliament, did she seek and receive permission from the leader of the opposition to make that particular video? Now, in our democracy and in our way of doing things, it's done mainly so by other people, not us. But the buck stops with him. If he did not give her the permission, what has he done about it today? When he saw the video, did he order her to take it down? Did he have a word with her about it after that? Because if the video is still up and he's aware that the video is there and it is causing angst, as it is bound to do, right? And I will tell you why. And you're going to see how much problem she could find for herself in for making that video, right? It would seem to me that either he has no control over what's going on at the party, right, with his members, or he is the instigator of all of what you see going on. Angela went and touched the mace. He's supposed to know. Him in the house from 2007. Him is a British Jewish man, right? That is, I don't know what him know, but him supposed to know. And as far as I understand our jurisprudence, ignorance of the law is no excuse. So no tell the poor man. Therefore, advise on herself. When she touched the mace, she was wrong. But Uno believes that Uno have 28 in the house now. And the 28 means to say Uno have power. Uno don't have no power. And as long as Uno continue to think that Uno have power because Uno have numbers, the only thing that Uno power can do is force the Labour Party whenever it is there's something to be passed that them need passed. All of them members have to come. That's the only power that you have. Otherwise, you have no other power. You get up and you talk, and you say what you have to say, and you collect your money and go to your yard. That's the only power you have, right? So stop pretending that somehow you have some kind of power in your house where we appear for. You know, no power. When she did what she did, and the speaker ordered the marshal to put her out. First of all, she asked her to leave. She never want to leave. Inelegant, maybe the way she was asked, but she was asked to leave. And she understood the language that was used. Outside means leave. She decided not to leave, so the marshal was asked to put her out. You saw in the British Parliament. It was the same thing that happened with that speaker. Right? Eventually, the process was followed. You see, she was given a chance to leave. She did not leave. And so eventually, she got herself named. And even then, she wouldn't leave. And you, as the leader of the opposition, condone that. But you not only condoned it, you were the first one to jump to your feet. And so it was you who led the dissent. For a member, you know was wrong. What are we supposed to believe? You are the instigator. They operate under you. You are the man that is in charge of them. That's the only thing you're in charge of them. And them conduct in the house. And you know damn well that it had nothing to do with any frustration. You saw her attitude. It was jolly good fun. She was hoping to entertain you guys and never seemed to realize that she was getting herself in trouble. Looked like she lost her mind. Right? In discipline. And so she ended up losing her mind. And then now, instead of you sending a message across to her and say, go on, ma, we sort it out later. You condone it. You stand up. You stood up and ordered your colleagues to stand up. Or who could have do it? Them could do it on their own if you did not signal to them to stand. And if they stood without you signaling them to stand, you're not in control. That's what you want us to believe. You're not in control. So it was you who signaled to them that they must stand up. What you hope to achieve, I don't know, but somehow you think you have power. Somehow you think that the 403,000 people vote for you make you have power. If you were suspended from the House, for argument's sake, for defiance, and you decide to call a demonstration, how much people are going to turn up to come demonstrate for you, Mass? How much PMP people are going to turn up? Very unlikely that many would. You will get some, but certainly not the kind of show that a Michael Manley or a Portia or even Dr. Peter Phillips would get. Right? You will have some of the comrades them condone slackness too. So they will come support you. Especially if you put out the lies and them choose to believe it. So you are responsible. And you cannot say you're not responsible for Nikisha Burchell's flagrant disrespect of no parliament that we appear for. I am waiting to see if you're going to order her to take it down. What is that about? Uno don't have no respect for the House. We're not doing the turn on the damn yard. Uno go tell PMP people for vote for Uno and put it in a parliament. Uno go represent them. As how Uno represent people? Who Uno representing? Sound to me like, look to me like Uno represent yourself. This kind of it's not to say things don't happen at the parliament in the past, but this kind of disrespect. Why it is that Uno feel Uno can disrespect the symbols of our country? Like how you turn up on a football match in a one shirt with more look like the opposition one and Jamaica one. Or when the national event them take place, you don't feel like go you send somebody else. You watch Netflix, you watch movie on Netflix. So we are going to break down the Miss and her commentary piece by piece. But before we do, let us take a look at Angela Brownberg's actions. I want you to look and tell me if you see any anger or any frustration in her action that would justify what she did. That's the first thing. And I will show it to you in slow motion.
Marshall, please. Angela Brownberg, I name you outside.
So you saw it for yourself. It was a clown act. But I want you to pay a little attention to Damian Crawford. You see him with his back to us? Oh yes, he thought it was very funny until he heard that Angela was named and she was ordered to leave the parliament. Look at his reaction.
I name you outside.
Absolutely no regard or respect for the house that they're into. We're supposed to be the house where we appear for. To them house. No. So when he got up out of the chair, laughed, thumped the desk and came back, and then having heard the ruling of the speaker, evidently in disagreement, in fan of the speaker like that, can disciplinary actions be taken against him? What is the answer? Yes. Disciplinary actions can definitely be taken against the laughing MP, even if the speaker did not address them immediately. Their actions, laughing, knocking the table, and making a defiant gesture, constitute disorderly conduct or contempt of the House. So, in addition to Angela Brownberg, Dayton Campbell, and Murcott, it seems to me that Damian Crawford is also in trouble. He was also one of those MPs who left his chair not far away to stand in the passageway. He was standing, though, behind Dayton Campbell. They surrounded their colleague, Angela Brownberg, and one can only wonder if the intent was not to block the marshal from removing her from the House as he was instructed to do by the Speaker. Right? Well, if it goes further, and I sincerely hope it does, to the Committee of Privileges, that is something they'll be looking into. So Damian Crawford, by his own action, jumping out of his seat and is a juvenile center we're running in at the parliament? That people who are elected by the people and put into our parliament to manage our business, jumping up out of them seat, no self-control. No self-control. Something for you, jump up out of your seat, you don't remember which part you are. When a decision is made against the colleague who did something wrong, you don't know something wrong. You have the handbook. Did you read the handbook? You're supposed to be a bright person. You're a bright person. Did you read the handbook? If you had, you'd have known that she shouldn't have touched the mace. And it's problems for her if she did. And when the consequence reached down where you'd fan off the speaker, so you're in a problem too. And I understand you were out and about defending Angela Brownberg and talking about is the speaker's fault. I suppose that was what Sylvia was saying too. It's his wife's fault why him done her in. So we're not going to talk about now say is the speaker's fault why Angela sauntered over smiling and joking and lift up the mace. Now we know the reason why you would have come out in defense, because you know. So you're supposed to be in a problem too. You were caught on camera. Now, as for Miss Nikisha Burchell, not satisfied with her disrespect and defiance of the Speaker's ruling with regard to her colleague when she was ordered to leave the precinct of the Parliament, and she refused. She wasn't satisfied with that, so what did she do? Go make a video. She made a video that she claimed was made inside of the Parliament. And in that video was the image of the mace in an AI talking in what I would regard as a mocking of the mace, which is the symbol of the Parliament, right? In addition to that, she included commentary about the Speaker outside of the Parliament. And one of the allegations that she made was that the Speaker is sidelining opposition voices, suggesting that the Speaker is biased. And she's doing that in public, bringing down the office of the Speaker. The question is she allowed to do that? Well, the first thing I'm going to let you do is listen to what she had said. And then we're going to consult to see whether or not she may find herself in problems with the Committee of Privileges.
Yesterday, the mace was touched. Yes, touched. So we came here to Parliament to check on the mace to see how the mace is doing. Hello, mace. Tell us what happened.
I was minding my business, as one does, symbolizing authority as we colonial vestiges do, when suddenly I was lifted.
Lifted? Oh, really? Wow. How did that make you feel?
Well, I must say it was rather shocking. Quite the disturbance. I haven't experienced such contact in years.
Not since Edmund Bartlett.
But you're fine though, correct?
Yes, I am fine.
Well, there you have it. We can all settle down now because the mace is fine.
So you can all settle down now because the mace is fine. You hear that, Mass Floyd? She take uno from the Labour Party side for kuno mono. Settle down now, man. The mace is fine. And the last time the mace was touched was by Edmund Bartlett, running out of the Parliament with it, word to that effect. And we're very happy that she mentioned it because she never mentioned other things that went along with it too. Now, that was a message that was intended for the Labour Party members. Remember, say a sitting MP, Edmund Bartlett, he had done the same thing too. So what? Them going to feel like them a hypocrite? The thing about it, did Edmund Bartlett refuse to leave the House? You never mentioned that, but there's something else you didn't mention. And we are very happy that you reminded us about the incident. So we went and did our own research. On 5 different occasions, persons MPs touched the mace. Only MPs, no senator. First of all, and the first time it was done was in 1950 when the Labour Party was in power by a PNP member called FLB Evans. It happened again in 1968 with Maxi Carey. Now, when Evans did it, he was given a 1-month suspension. 18 years later, another PNP member, Maxi Carey, he repeated the offense and was barred from the House for 2 months, right? The third time was a year later with Keeble Munn, another PNP member. And he headed for the door with the mace to abruptly end a sitting. And for that, he was suspended for 6 months. So he deliberately took up the mace in order to force the ending of the sitting. And for that, he got 6 months. He got the most. Perhaps the Labour Party government at the time thought it was a little too frequent, or it was because of his intent, but they gave him 6 months suspension. It took 34 years in 2003 for another person to go and touch the mace, and that was Edmund Bartlett. He sprang from his seat and sprinted towards the door with the mace to block the Deputy Speaker's exit. So evidently there was a heated discussion about something. The Deputy Speaker decided to adjourn the Parliament, and while he was leaving, Edmund Bartlett lost his mind, grabbed the mace, and bolted for the door. He made an apology. I suppose it was so out of character for him that they decided not to suspend him. So he made I think he made a formal apology, and as far as we can make out, there was no suspension for him. The next time, of course, was with Angela Brown-Burke, right? So Angela has put her name in history books. And if she's not dealt with severely, particularly for the defiance when she was ordered to leave the house, she refused, then you can anticipate there'll be more of them running up and down, handling up the mace to get their name in a history book too, for all the contribution we can expect from them to the Parliament. So that's a history of those who handled the mace. Now, of the 5, there was no report here that any one of them defied the Speaker by not leaving when they were told to. And it's not just a matter of the Speaker. Remember, the House had voted for her to be expelled, and she decided to defy the House too. So we thank Nikisha Burchell for bringing it up so we can bring that information to your attention. So the question that we want an answer to is whether or not disciplinary action may be taken against Nikisha Burchell, who made that video, ostensibly ridiculing the mace, chatting bad about the Speaker outside the House, making all kinds of allegations, and in addition to that, ridiculing the Speaker for having punished her colleague by throwing her out of the House. That seems to me to be what she was doing in this video. So what is the answer to the question? Yes, disciplinary action can be taken against an MP for making such a video, even if it is recorded outside the Parliament precincts and after the sitting has ended, right? She said she was in the Parliament, and if she was, that means the Parliament was ended, and she made that video in there. And you could hear the echo in the background, so it seemed as if she was indeed in the chamber. If she was even not in the chamber and she was outside, it doesn't matter. Disciplinary actions may be taken against her for making that kind of video. If my interpretation of the video is the same interpretation of the video that a committee of privileges may make. It went on to say that in Westminster-style systems, which is a parliamentary system, like those in Jamaica, the UK, or Canada, parliamentary privilege and the House's power to punish for contempt are not strictly confined to the physical walls of the building. In Westminster-style systems like those in Jamaica, the UK, and Canada, parliamentary privilege and the House's power to punish for contempt are not strictly confined to the physical walls of the building. Nikisha Burchell, you need to go and educate yourself. You going to talk about freedom of speech? Once you become an MP, you're under rules and regulation. You're not like an ordinary citizen anymore. You have to abide by the rules of the parliament. And you cannot abide by the rules of the parliament if you don't know what they are. Go and look at the handbook that you were given. That is where the mace and the marshal is mentioned. You're not going to find it in the standing orders. You will find it in the handbook that you were given. Go read it. When it comes to the speaker and her comments on the speaker, it says number 1, reflections on the speaker. A core rule in parliamentary law is that reflections, insults, or ridicule upon the character or actions of the speaker are considered a breach of privilege or contempt. You can be hauled before the Committee of Privileges to answer to those comments that you made. You talk about the speaker is sidelining opposition voices, that it didn't start with the mace, it started with voices not being heard, and this is not new. You would have to go and back up and bring your evidence to back up what it is that you are saying. It goes on to say that the principle that is involved, the speaker represents the authority of the entire house. Are you listening, Nikisha Burchell? The speaker represents the authority of the entire house. This is a principle that is guiding this particular core rule in the parliamentary law. Ridiculing the speaker, especially for an official act like suspending a member for a mace incident, is seen as undermining the dignity of the institution itself. The Speaker of the House is a very important role. The Speaker's role is to ensure that the public business gets done. And the standing orders were made by members of parliament long before you born. And they were there to regulate the house. For a young woman who is supposed to be educated with a university degree, from which one of the university you say in England? Economics, or is it University of London? One would expect that you would use your damn education and read. And what you don't understand, you ask question. Right? You get up and you're going to run off your mouth and you have no idea what it is you're doing. What about the idea that this was done outside of Parliament or parliamentary hours? Then what? Historical and modern precedents show that MPs can be disciplined for comments made in newspapers, interviews, or on social media that bring the House or its officers into disrepute. For example, in some jurisdictions, members have been cited for contempt or publicly reprimanded for social media posts that selectively comment on or ridicule parliamentary business. Don't bother suppose that because may not be written down somewhere here that you cannot be cited. Them use the word precedence. We connect up with the other jurisdiction them, and it can be cited. You heard the speaker citing, I do believe, either a parliamentary procedure or a case law in defense of a ruling that she made. In addition to having made these reflections on the speaker, the second matter is contempt of Parliament. Parliament has a broad, loosely defined power to declare any act a contempt if it obstructs the House or its members in the performance of their duties. What UNO did in the Parliament when, well, at least not you were in your seat, but you stood up to show your defiance of the ruling of the Speaker in chasing your colleague out of the House for something that she had done. But your other colleagues, Dayton Campbell, who stood in the passageway beside Angela Brown Burke when the marshal was sent to remove her, him in a problem. And if there's any doubt, him haul him seat from where it was and put in the passageway So in case the marshal come back, the marshal can't get to her to take her out physically. The marshal was instructed to remove her because she did not want to remove herself. Right? So this would have been, it seems to me, contempt in obstructing the House or its members in the performance of their duties. Murcutt walking between the marshal when the marshal was speaking to Angela is another matter. Defiance. Right? So the whole of Uno has some serious problem. Uno better go look for some Obia man, you know. Yes, man, go look for some Obia man and see if they can work a little something for Uno. Because the Labour Party already write in a them press release that them expecting, as all of us are, that a message, a strong message is going to be sent to Uno. Uno go along too bad for too long in the house where we appear for. Ridiculing the mace, making it an object of ridicule. Since the mace is a symbol of the house's authority, ridiculing its significance or the enforcement of rules surrounding it can be framed as an act that brings the house into odium or lowers its authority. Do you think, Nikisha Burchell, that what you were doing was elevating the authority of the house? Oh, this mace is fine now, so we can leave that now. But that's not important. You, a member of parliament, and you don't know a damn thing about the house that you're in. You don't have a clue. You don't know what you have done. Actionable even outside, and we're talking about contempt of the parliament, is actionable even outside. While an MP has freedom of speech as a citizen, as a member, they are bound by the code of conduct and standing orders. Do you even know what the code of conduct of the parliament is that you supposedly signed? Many parliaments have updated their rules to explicitly state that social media conduct, even outside sittings, must not damage the reputation of the house. Do you think that when you did that video, you were elevating and enhancing the reputation of the house? Or were you damaging it? Because when you are damaging the speaker, talking about that she is sidelining opposition voices, which you would regard as your freedom of speech, but as a member of the house, is that true? And if you are hauled before the Committee of Privileges, will you be able to defend it? Potential disciplinary actions for that video that you made. Is there any? If the house, which means the full house, 63 of you, and the majority, of course, would represent the decision. So if the House determines the video constitutes a breach of privilege or contempt, the following could occur. First of all, it could be referred to the Privileges Committee, and it says a speaker or a member can move a motion to refer the MP to the Committee of Privileges for investigation. Any one of the 35 in the Labour Party side, or the 34, and the speaker might move that motion. Pray hard, my sister, that they don't. Right? Because I don't know if you can defend some of them allegations where you making at that video. If you're lucky, you might get a formal reprimand. The MP may be ordered to stand at the bar of the House to be formally reprimanded by the Speaker. Pray hard so you get that. Or them just decide, say, them not bother pay it no mind. And don't pay we out here who demanding action any mind. You also could be looking at suspension. If the conduct is deemed serious enough to have brought the House into disrepute, the House can vote to suspend the MP for a specific number of days. Apology, the MP may be required to issue a formal public apology to the House and the Speaker. That is not done by Abka Fitz-Henley, who is a senator. That has to be decided in the Parliament by the members, a majority of the members to whom the motion was put to make a decision, right? So Angela Brownberg didn't seem as if she apologized, and she might as well save her apology for the House if the House is sitting on Tuesday, right? So what is the long and short of it all? The fact that a video was made outside the precinct does not grant the MP immunity from parliamentary discipline. If the content of the video is judged to be a contemptuous reflection on the Speaker's official authority. You heard that? I hope you're thinking about it, Miss Nikisha, and go look on that video. And if I were you, take it down. But then no, not going to take it down. Not bad people. You got power. 28 of you in the House, but you not thinking and no mind, so you have power. You really need, according to Karen Cross, you really need some therapy. Me recommend it, but I don't know that therapy will help, but you never know. One go sign up with a psychologist or psychiatrist and then come and tell the House that, you realize that you needed some therapy and you got, and maybe they were sorry for you and about to punish you. Try that. So let me leave it here for now. Today, what we looked at were two other members, Damian Crawford, briefly, and Nikisha Burchell, the subject of this video, and what kind of problems they probably find themselves into. What we're clearly looking at are some unprepared persons for the positions of MP. And on top of that, they do not have a leader that can guide them. The leader himself is new to the parliamentary proceedings. He just became an MP in 2017, so him can't guide them. But they seem not to be willing, or if they have read the handbook and the standing orders, they seem not to understand anything from it. And it appears as though them leader cannot help them. And so, them do all these stupid things that is likely to get them in heaps of trouble. And I hope it does. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. Let me thank everyone who joined me today. Let me thank you for sharing, for subscribing, giving the video a thumbs up. Please do remember, give the video a thumbs up. And leave your comments in the comments section. Let me know what you think about all of this. Until next time, take very good care of yourselves and walk good.